Hey guys, hope you're all having an awesome day. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about adding health, and I wanted to illustrate it by telling you a quick story about an apple and an Oreo. So one of my favorite naturopathic doctors, Dr. Tanda Cook, explains this kind of stuff often. She uses Twinkie, but we don't really do Twinkies much in Canada, so I changed it to an Oreo just to kind of get my point across. But essentially what I wanted to say is that everybody feels like, or the feedback that I'm getting from everyone is that health feels like it's so hard and it's such a big deal and it's so much work and it's just one more thing to add to your plate, right? But I want to explain something about the way that a healthy lifestyle is actually achieved. So we are omnivores, right? And so as omnivores, we have to consume things from the outside world, which are the essentials, which is why you'll hear people say things like your essential proteins, like your essential amino acids and your essential, omega fatty acids and things like that. So the essentials are the things that we can't actually create in our bodies by themselves. We have to consume them from the outside in order for our bodies to actually function properly. So when it comes to choices from the outside world, of course, it's great because we can choose whatever we want to eat. That's an awesome bonus, but it's also a problem because we can choose anything. And so I want you guys to start thinking about health in a different way. And this is what I teach in my Kickstarters. It's so important to look at health a different way, because if you're constantly looking at food as good or bad, whether you deserve it that day, whether it's a cheat or a treat or whatever, however you want to justify it. I mean, we've all been there and done it. But here's the problem that I see with counting calories or counting points or counting macros, is that maybe that will get you to short-term weight loss goals, which is what a lot of us go for, fair enough. But at the end of the day, that doesn't take into account anything to do with actually adding health and fueling your body. And so a lot of people fall off the bandwagon, or, let's be honest, most of us, especially as women, have literally been battling this dialogue in our head since we were like 13 years old. And I think that has a lot to do with the marketing that's been thrown at us forever, and how we've been socialized to believe that, a number on a scale helps us feel better, or the size of our clothes makes us feel one way or another. And that's just the reality of where we're at. But what I want to try to do is get you looking at and thinking about health in a different way. So when it comes to apples and Oreos, okay, an Oreo is not good or bad. It is just an Oreo. And this is what Dr. Tanda Cook always talks about. An apple is just appling and an Oreo is just Oreoing, right? So those foods aren't good or bad. They just are what they are. But when we learn what types of foods are adding health, meaning reducing inflammation, adding health to your gut health is such an important piece of anybody's health, whether that's brain health, skin health, overall health of any kind, emotional health, anything like that. What's going on in your gut is 80% responsible for what's happening everywhere else in your body. And so you're gonna see over the next few years, 10 years probably, that the gut health is going to become the #1 talked about topic, because it's the thing that has been ignored, I would say, for the longest, and they have way more research about it now, of course. But by counting calories or cutting out massive food groups, or counting points or counting macros or all these kinds of things, we've completely ignored what actually adds health to the body. So one thing that I love to talk about on top of all that stuff is when it comes to weight loss, I know everybody that I talk to is always like, yeah, but I still want to lose weight, so maybe I'll just do this crazy crash diet and it'll get me the 20 pounds I need in a month. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally cool, go for it. But once you're ready to actually get serious about making a lifestyle change with your health, that's when I come in. I'm going to literally teach you. I'm like a nutrition nerd. I don't know how I came into this, but I personally suffered from a lot of food intolerance, and that creates a lot of inflammation in my body, which if you've ever had skin issues like eczema, or a lot of acne issues, or joint pain, or just feeling exhausted all the time, or even if you're in really good shape, you kind of have like a puffy layer on top of your abs. Those types of things, there's tons more that I could get into, but inflammation over time, chronic inflammation leads to disease. It's like 90, I don't know what the stat is, it's like low 90s. So like, let's call it 92% of all diseases are caused by chronic inflammation in the body. And chronic inflammation in the body is totally preventable. So if you think about that, learning about what's adding health in terms of like what's reducing inflammation, what's adding inflammation. Okay, so let's take an Oreo for example. An apple is going to reduce inflammation because it is a whole food. It has lots of great stuff in it, including a lot of fiber and other things that you need to grab onto toxins and pull things through your body so that you can get rid of them, on top of a lot of nutrients and things that an apple obviously comes with because it is a natural food. So then we have an Oreo, and Oreos are great, and I love Oreos, and who doesn't love Oreos? So it's not that you can't eat Oreos in a healthy lifestyle, it's that the majority of the time you need your body to be craving better choices. And the way to do that is to start putting different things in, experimenting with different foods, removing the things that are causing inflammation in your body. And inflammation obviously is tied into gut health. And then hold on, I always get off track, but I'm on a bit of a tangent this morning because I keep hearing from all these people all the time that health is so hard. So what we want to do is train our bodies. If your stomach is addicted to sugars and processed foods, we all love the taste of that stuff. But what happens is when you eat it on a regular basis, your body actually craves more of it. And you think that that's what you love, but it's actually just what you're addicted to. It's just what it is. So what we want to do is start being conscious about the why behind how. Okay, so like when you're doing a diet, they're like, Kate, you have to fit into 1,200 calories a day. And you're like, yep, got it. So then you try to do that, but that's not sustainable over a long period of time, which is why most people fail with their weight loss goals. But you'll also see a lot of people who will attain their weight loss goals and still have a whole bunch of other health issues going on, which is why we need to get away from the calorie game, which isn't true for health. And we need to start looking at what is alkaline forming instead of acidic in our bodies. What is adding health with reducing inflammation? Because we're on a lot of processed foods, we're in a convenience world, it is what it is, and there's a lot of omega-6s because most oils that are added to like cookies, crackers, anything processed that sits on a shelf, those are going to be stable oils. So like safflower oil and sunflower oil and a bunch of other things like that. And they're really high in omega-6s. And we actually are at a ratio of like 16 or 20 to 1 for omega-6s to omega-3s. And omega-3s push the anti-inflammatory pathways. Omega-6s push inflammation. So our bodies are literally, they don't have a chance against inflammation when we keep pumping that stuff in. So what do? We have to get more omega-3s, reduce the omega-6s, not cut them out completely because you definitely need inflammation in your body. Otherwise, if you had a cut or something, you couldn't heal. So it's like, it's a dance, right? The body's always all about, health is about a dance. Hey, I just saw Janet hopped on. Hello, Janet. Okay, so I'm on a tangent again, but the next thing I want to talk about with weight loss, I know that everybody's new year, new you, everybody's going after goals because it's January. And one of the main things that I think is missing from the conversation about weight loss is toxins and their role. So I'm going to be doing a webinar this Sunday, and I'm going to talk about these 3 things mainly, and then I'm going to talk about my 15-day healthy living Kickstarter that's coming up January 14th. It's 2 weeks to reset your body, and I teach all this kind of stuff, but in more detail. Plus you have access to me every day in a Facebook group. But toxins are one of the biggest things that's missing out of the weight loss conversation. So what happens is, I'll show you guys a diagram if you want to sign up for the webinar. I put the link in the comments there. But essentially what happens is, you have a body that's full of toxins because, well, we have stress, we breathe things in, we drink, we eat processed foods that have chemicals. I mean, who doesn't love a Dorito, right? So it's not that those things are completely eliminated from our diets. It's just that we are overrunning our body. It's like a bathtub. And the faucet is the stuff coming in with your food. And then the drain is like your organs of elimination to try to, you know, the flow, it goes into the bathtub and then it flows out. But what happens is, with all the stuff that the crap we're putting into our bodies on a regular basis that's coming in from all different places, including food, obviously, the drain starts to get clogged because our elimination organs and our detox organs are overrun. And so they're doing their job as best they can, but eventually they start to get clogged. And so the water's still coming in because we're still eating and drinking and doing whatever we want all the time, not conscious about the health benefits instead of the calories, right? And eventually over time that bathtub fills up and then spills over into your body, which is when disease happens, or leaky gut syndrome and things like that. So what we want to do is support the organs of elimination, not like try to zap them or something. We just want to add foods that are actually add foods, add supplements, add whatever. I mean, everybody's busy, so maybe you're not eating a completely whole foods diet all the time, that's fine. But we need to be supporting those organs of elimination and those detox organs so that they can be pulling that bathtub water out at the same rate that it's coming in, which is equilibrium or health, right? It's balance. So the thing about weight loss is when you have tons of toxins in your body, fat cells, the body was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do to protect the vital organs, lungs, heart, you know, all the vital organs. What are we gonna do to protect the vital organs from these toxins? Because if the toxins make it into our vital organs, then we'll die. So what did it do? Well, it's gonna create what it calls adipose tissue, which is fat cells. So the fat cells come and they grab onto that toxin and they encompass it like a bubble wrap. So what you have is, you eat a lot of crap and slowly you kind of gain a lot of jelly around everywhere. So that's fat cells. But the thing is that when we only focus on calories, of course our body eventually needs to burn off those fat cells, right? And so, sorry, I'm getting text messages that are always distracting for me. So what happens is we burn off those fat cells and the toxins get re-released back into our body and are recirculating. And now the body's in emergency protection survival mode because now those toxins are back and they can go back into our vital organs. So as soon as you stop counting those calories and cutting it to like such a minimal amount where you lost all that weight, basically what happens is the body will grab onto any calories it can as soon as it can to re-encompass those toxins. And so that's why you'll actually see most people will yo-yo diet. When we say yo-yo diet, most people will start at a certain weight, they'll diet, crash diet by counting calories or burning crazy exercise calories, or points or whatever you want to call it. And then as soon as they stop, the body's literally in survival mode. So it comes right back up and usually actually they gain more weight than before they started, which is why you see people talking about yo-yo dieting all the time. So the solution to that, if you want to get to a healthy weight that's actually sustainable long-term, instead of fighting it all the time, is to help your body. First of all, we have to reduce how many toxins are going in, and then we really have to make sure that we're supporting those organs of elimination to pull that stuff through with healthy fibers and things like that will come in, act like a sponge, grab onto those toxins, and pull it out of the body. So this stuff is not a magic pill and doesn't happen in one day, which is why most people think it's going to be hard. But if you start to learn about the why behind all these little elements, which is what I love to teach about, then eventually it just becomes part of your daily activity, part of your life, and you don't have to think about that dialogue constantly about whether I should be eating this or whether I deserve this or whether, because we all think we deserve things. And let's be realistic. If you know yourself like I do, if I tell myself I can't have something, I'm gonna have it for sure. I'm only gonna win that battle for a day, maybe two. But if I switch my mindset around how I'm thinking about food, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I really enjoy preparing this type of food in this way, or I enjoy ordering my meals from restaurants in this way because it tastes awesome and I actually feel great afterwards. And then if I feel like crushing a cheesecake at the end, I don't worry about it. You know what I mean? You got to get that calorie mentality out of your head and start focusing on the ingredients and what's going in. So, apple versus Oreo, that was my story in a long-winded rant. But essentially, an apple is just an apple and an Oreo is just an Oreo. And it's not about whether one is good or bad. It is just about the one that is adding health and why. And then we make that choice more often. So hopefully that was helpful for some of you. I'll get into more detail on that stuff on Sunday, January 6th, this Sunday coming up in the evening. Sign up. I put the link for the webinar in the comments or in the description of this video. And yeah, hope to see you guys there. And yeah, have a great day. Talk to you soon, guys. Cheers.